All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today here at the Trading Squad. We're here with a very, very special guest. You guys already know him. Nick Shaheen, the Options Master. I'm going to bring him in a little bit. Nick, let me know when you're ready. We're good to go here. We have a couple of existing chat members here, actually. So this is great. Let's get this going here. Let's see if we can add Nick.
All right, I can share my screen if you want.
Okay, go ahead, Nick.
I'll steal the show. Share the screen. And this one. Screen one, there it is. Allow it. Boom. There we go. All right, so welcome everyone. And this was a happy surprise for me. Rodrigo texted me and said, hey, let's do some charts. I said, let's do it. So here we are. And hopefully we can just do that, charts all the way. And I see you guys and have a few tickers already running. I always like to start with this one, just a visual check that the markets are far above expectations. Not a reason to short them, just a reason to remind ourselves of the visual, in a visual, of how high we are and how far we could fall if something goes wrong. So this is a good visual for that. This is a monthly chart, so it scares people because it exaggerates the message. The real chart would be closer to now would be a daily chart, which is this one. And this shows how consistent the market has been. Dips, they buy it. Dips, they buy it. Dips, they buy it. So they're buying the dips. And that's why you get these higher lows and higher highs. So the trend is up. The bulls are in control overall. And so the assumption of everything I say now has to work within that. So if that changes and we say bullish one stock, that assumes that this doesn't change because that's the assumption that everything is going up. Therefore, we can speak about individual stocks. Having said that, we laid the ground rules and let's go down the list. I think, did I see Lyft and Uber first? So we can go down the list that way. If nobody minds, I'm sure nobody would mind. So my favorite of the two would be Uber, but they're not the same company. So in the beginning, they were completely different. I don't know if they're now merging. I haven't looked at either of them recently. I was a proponent of Uber when it came out of the box. You know, everybody hated them because they were unicorns that took too long to come to market. They were impossible to appease the expectations they built up. So then they started selling. I bought Uber somewhere in the early 40s, and then it fell to 30, and people mocked me about that on some of the shows. But then I said, and then it fell to 20 or whatever, and I sold puts, and I was even at 30 and made tons of money when it rallied. So my thesis was correct. It went through a dip on Uber. So my thesis on Uber is that they want to be an aggregator of businesses. So I haven't checked into lately if they are still doing that. So, okay, I'm optimistic over the businesses, but not as much as I was before because I knew more about them. Let's talk charts. This is Lyft. First of all, it shows that one important bounce level right here that served as a huge rally, base for a rally, and then it gave it back up. The problem with it gave it back up is that it consolidated so long up here. So now this is overhead resistance. There are people trapped up here. Next time it came up here, it fell fast because all these people probably said, whoever bought here said, thank you, let me out. New people got trapped. So now this rally back will find sellers, but also will be the opportunity. So if they're able to break through this, they can pop and deal with these. However, job one is to hold this. The good news is that they're making progress. Higher lows, and hard bases. You know, as soon as they hit a base, they go. They don't mess around. But things are changing a little bit, and now it becomes more important to hold that pattern. And any break of that pattern could carry lower. Do I have lines? I don't know if I do. Let's see. I do have lines. Check this out. Okay, so I don't remember drawing these lines at all. I promise you. So somewhere here, I drew this funny thing saying that it could rally, but then it may find resistance. Look, I actually have a word here that says resistance zone. and another one here. And sure enough, it stalled on the first one and it stalled on the second one. And I said, avoid doing this. And that's what they still need to do, because that can still come back down and get to here. And then that's like a giant head and shoulders that you don't want to see, because that'll bring the gap fills down here. Not the scenario I'm forecasting, the possible scenario that could unfold on a blip. And guess what? Somebody mentioned earnings. August 3rd. Did they already report? Yeah, that looks like. And the move was only 1%. Interesting. Okay, so that's a very mild response. Uber tomorrow, somebody mentioned. Let me take out the lines. That's pretty busy. So this one needs to hold like up here, and it's already below it going into an earnings report. So pretty dangerous. This is an inverse cup and handle. It will be down in the low 30s again. And guess what? I have an alert here. What does it say? It doesn't say anything. I'm going to change it. I'm going to put another alert here and say long. How do I go long? If it falls precipitously, boy, I said that right. I would sell puts to own shares. So if I want to own shares, I would sell the puts to own them. And in this case, it would be a scary thing to do under duress, meaning the stock would be falling. If it's falling, I'm not saying it's going to fall, but if it does fall, the puts would be, oh, they already reported? All right, let's see here. I was looking at Corsair. Oh, Lyft reported. Okay, but not Uber. Okay, so all right, so the conversation continues that they are near support, at support, must hold levels, both of them. Yep, thank you. And if that support is going to fail, the technical downside of this pattern is much worse than here. It's as big as this. I don't give that immediate credit. In other words, a technician might, but I believe that this is a strong base. In fact, this orange line right here, I didn't draw it. This is it's automatically drawn by the volume profile. And it's the busiest 2 points of its 1 year history here, because that's where they bought it and sold it the most. So if it's falling into it, it's going to find support because they're going to get busy again. And busy means congestion, means a mattress for them to fall onto. Now, the same thing works against it up here. I think it's going to be super hard to get through 48 and 50 because of this guy right here. So you have a cluster of volume here and a cluster of volume there and a void in between. So I think it's going to spend some time doing this to build this whole thing into a big hump like that. That's my projection for the future. So it's probably a better thing to do to sell puts on drops than to buy calls and expect a rally back. A rally can happen, but I think I would start by selling put spreads to create income on bad days, or selling puts to own shares on bad days. And then when I see triggers on the upside, I can chase them with buying calls. Owning stock for the long term also works, but not all in, because we don't know what's going to happen over the earnings, and we don't know what's going to happen with the overall markets. Too many questions to have a lot of conviction. All right, so that's Lyft and Uber. I think I covered them back and forth. And let's look at the fundamentals. I haven't done that. It's been a while. All right, so let's look at the overview. I'm amazed as to how much business they still did during a global shutdown. That's pretty incredible. So let's look at the income statement here. Revenues, 8 billion, 11 billion, 13 billion, 11 billion, 11 billion. So pretty strong. It's amazing what they're doing. So they lost 4 billion in 2017. That's probably their first year. I don't remember. And then they were net income of $1 billion, and then 8 billion loss in 2019. That's pre-COVID. They lost less in 2020 during COVID, and now they're lower loss. So there is nothing bad or nothing worsening, and the price to sales is only 7. So nothing screaming bad from the fundamentals. The indicators on the left, you mean these over here? those are volume profiles. So let me explain that really quickly and simply. You see, everybody knows these volume bars down here. I'm assuming they've seen them before. It means how many transactions happened that day and this day and this day and this day and this day. So these bars here tell me by date when they happened. This is the same information, only they tell me at what level, which is the more useful information. Like, who cares that it happened in May? I want to know if it happened at $50 or $44. In other words, if volume is high down here, it means people are interested in it down here. If it's high up here, people are interested up here. That's what it's called volume profile. If you want to learn a good indicator, this would be one to learn. It's not an actionable indicator for me. It is a definite one that I consult before I do anything. Notice I don't have a lot of indicators on here. This is the only real one. This blue-red thing here is just a simple regression representation. It's a visual check as to if there's a channel, where's the range. It's also not an actionable one for me. Okay, so we did 2. Moving on. Uber, somebody mentioned another one up here. Oh, Affirm. Okay, we'll do Affirm. ATLY. I don't know what ATLY is, but we'll look at it. OCGN. Somebody mentioned OcuGen, right? Okay, is this a SPAC? I don't know. I don't see any revenues here, so it must be a SPAC of sorts. I don't know much about its history. I think I do. Wait. Biopharma company engaged in development and commercialization of therapies. Eye diseases. Okay, so they have a good cause, and I would hate to bet against them. So from the chart, it tells me that there was extreme exuberance. I don't know if they're part of Reddit or not, part of headlines or not, but the exuberance is fading, lower highs. One thing is not fading is that they're drawing a sharp line in the sand right there. Lose that line and you go down to here. The market cap is pretty small, right? 1.4 billion, not too bad. So, but it's all hope. It looks like there's no P&L. So be careful with that. So if you lose this, the first level that could be concerned about is 6.6. Let's round it. And then 5.2. If you lose that, there's no reason why it doesn't go to 3. That, again, that's not my forecast. You have sellers lurking through 8, and then again at 9, and then again at 10 and change. Not at 10, just 10 and change. So job 1 is hold, and then make progress. Do I have lines? I do. Check this out. Am I consistent? Okay, yeah. So support zone, lose it, you're going lower. I only stopped here. I didn't want to freak people out. Pivot, meaning they've traded above it and below it recently, almost the same amount. So they tried to go through it. They came back down. They tried to go through it. They haven't even gotten to it. So it's pretty frustrating for the bulls. But first, 7.8 or higher, then you give yourself a little bit of breathing room, and then you immediately face at 8.3 or 8.5 or an 8.7 a lot of resistance. So it's going to be a tight dance for OcuGen. Okay, hopefully that answers you there. Next we have Affirm, I believe. Okay. First of all, I do like the business of Affirm. Apparently I have lines. Let's take them out. When it fell, I shared trades several times, and every time we've had good results, but then you can't overstay your welcome. It is a fast mover, and it gets punished unduly at times. I'm trying to find a good time frame that would show us the opportunity now. Maybe a daily and just zoom in on it. We'll do that. So clearly it came out of the box. They loved it to death. They hated it. They loved it to death even more. They hated it. They hated it more. And now it's down to basically bones. The business is healthy. The concept is great. They have so many opportunities, business to business, business to consumer, backdoor shopping type of a deal. No metrics to show, 7 times sales. I'm not sure how useful that is. Quarterly sales, let's see, revenues 140 million, 180, 200, 230. So not tremendous improvements, but the concept is great. I've seen them firsthand, and I like what they're trying to do. Now, my orange line here is, look at it, it's breaking out. So if they can beat these tops, they have room to go to, say, 85. But 80 is going to be a big problem along the way, maybe even 75. But this top here is going to be a problem. They're already facing resistance right now from these and from the fact that they're trying to break out from this cluster. So as soon as they can detach from this cluster, they can overshoot higher. So if I'm long, I stay long. If I'm looking to get long, I would wait for the breach and chase it from a trading perspective. If I'm looking to get long for the super long term, I can nibble a little bit, but I wouldn't go all in. My watch is telling me to go stand up and move around. I'm going to tell it to shut up. So 55 is support. If they lose 55, they could find another stent lower. I just don't know why they would do that. Earnings probably are coming soon. Let me see. Yeah, not too soon though. So I think the earnings will probably confirm what I'm saying, that the business is healthy. They just need time to convince everybody that they're worth it and that's not a frothy company. Starting to look like a cup and handle, not quite. There is definite line that they need to cross. And if I'm long, I'm happy about it. I would buy. So this is the case of where I say it's BDBR. Buy the dip to swing it back up. So if it fails here in the dips, I would buy it to try to swing it back up. Or wait for the rip and buy that. So buy the dip or buy the rip. Shoot, I forgot what the other one was with. Oh, Oatly. Oat milk. I just had some earlier today. That stuff is delicious. Of course, it's not milk. It just tastes good. Okay. Wow. That's a harsh reversion to the mean and then some. So they loved it and now they hate it. I think it'd be an opportunity to go long for the long term, knowing the full effect knowing well that there could be more downside, but only if the market falls. So I don't know why it would go lower. Let me look at the metrics. I mean, it's a new company, so I don't know how much. 22 times sales, if this is correct, that's not cheap, but it's not outrageous. So you're gonna have to go do some homework and go with faith. And now, what's working against you is this descending lower high. What's working for you is that they have not set a lower low. So here they tried to hold the floor and then drop through it. Here they didn't try to hold the floor. They held it and made higher lows. So it's okay to make higher lows and lower highs at the same time. Then the opportunity becomes for the bulls easy. It becomes easier for the bulls. So here they tried to hold the floor, it failed. Here they tried to hold the floor, it failed. Here they tried to hold the floor, it failed. So what they did here is they held a low and then a floor above it. So they're making progress. You don't want to lose that progress. I mean, it's not the end of the world if they come down to here, but you don't want to come below here. And just to give you, like, what is that, 1750? And then now, lower highs, still okay. These are not accurate lines. So what happens is they come to a tight fight, and then all you need is just an inch above a prior big problem. This was a prior big problem. So 1850 battle is pretty important while maintaining 1750 or better. And then you can start making higher lows and start this turn and build a channel to recover. So that is my estimate on this guy. And, I like the company. The product is pretty tasty. So it's just a matter of convincing people they can drink it. Was there a deal between Apple and Affirm? I don't know. I doubt it. They are like complete opposite ends of the spectrum. One deals with affordability, and the other one deals with high-end stuff. So I'm not sure. Maybe there is. What Affirm does, basically at heart, I think, was hey, buy now and pay over time, like a credit card. But they put a spin on it of fintech. Like if somebody wanted to buy an air conditioning unit, sellers of that air conditioning unit have deals with a firm saying, hey, we'll hook you up with a firm, and they will carry the paper, so to speak, if you do know what that means. So one thing about Affirm now that I'm looking at, Oatly, I should say, is this line right there. That's a sharp Do I have lines? I don't think so. So right here, let's put some lines. I'm going to look at this one again. Look, this line right here is pretty easy break into the action. So expect that there will be some sellers there if and whenever they get here. And as far as resistance, I mean, you can draw lines everywhere for that. But like we said here, this was an important battle. So we'll do this. Important battle. And then if I copy paste, this is going to be resistance. I'm drawing a blank here. So I guess I need a little bit of energy. Guess what I have next to me? Let me mute my mic so it doesn't sound so rude. Hold on. Awkward silence was me drinking some Bang. Apple something delicious. Okay, so we beat this one to death. Good company, decent proposition, not dirt cheap, will go by way of the market, is making good progress, has a big battle right here, can make progress above that line at 1850 and attack every other resistance zone in the same way it does. It's not going to be a straight shot, and when and if they get to 21, I would book profits and re-engage after it dips. How about that? That's pretty good. Okay, I think, let me know if I miss anything. Stop me. Beyond Meat, I think, is next. Let me reset. Oh, I have a lot to say. So this is a stock I've traded a lot. I've written it, done a lot of videos. I've written a lot of trade setups. Stop out, because it just moves too dang fast. You cannot overstay your welcome at all. It just moves too fast. This sounds silly hype. So you have to do your homework, set your I don't use automatic stops because I'm watching the market all the time. So I put a mental stop, I draw a line, and I put an alert, and I say, get me out. And then I go and get myself out. So in this case, I don't like this setup. The fundamentals are good, but the management, I wish they would stay. Maybe it's me misreading their commitment, but from a profitability perspective, it's not, I mean, from a value perspective, it's not super expensive, but it's going the wrong way. I think price to sales should be dropping if it's growing sales as fast as price is rising. So total revenue 32 to $500 million. It's pretty impressive, right? But not great. I mean, I've seen better. I was so happy during the pandemic that they said, oh, we're concentrating, because all their clients stopped buying, all their restaurants, their wholesalers. So they went to consumers. But I haven't seen them on the shelves as ubiquitously as I would have expected by now. So, and they do have competition, I think. So, I don't like this line. If they sneeze, they're going down to here. And they have earnings coming up. So here's the thing about earnings. If I haven't said it yet, you don't know what they're going to do. But then you say, no, I do know they're going to deliver a great report. And I'm telling you, still, you don't know what they're going to do. The traders the next day when they open. Nobody does. Not even the CEO of this company knows. Proof. You want proof? I've offered it before. Sorry if I'm repeating myself to you because you've been here. Okay. Consider Apple the last 5 years. They haven't had one bad report. How come not all of their report reactions are up? Because they are binary in nature, short term. Of course, the results matter long term. Short term, they don't, to the stock price that morning after they open. Because it's all about what is the expectation of these traders. So I know my expectations. You know your expectations. You don't know mine, and I don't know yours. And I don't know how many are like me or like you. So, or different. So it's a sea of expectations out there. We can't tell. Let's see here. Case in point, Apple just reported and the stock fell as a reaction. Okay, today I had a good day, but it fell as a reaction. Okay, so I don't like this setup, but it's binary. So I can't tell you in 2 days it won't be here. This is going to be a resistance and a trigger. And if it gets to 155, I would fade it. If it gets to anywhere down here, I would get long. In fact, while I'm here, TradingView blew out all of my alerts, hours of homework, they're gone. So great platform, bad execution on that matter. Okay, let's see here. Are you highlighting the tickers you want me to do, Tesla? But I'm going down the list here. When I checked on it today in the chat room, by the way, if you're not in the chat room, hop in. If you don't know your way around, I'm sure Rodrigo would help you get there. Okay, so this is Win. So Las Vegas, Sands, and Win are puzzling. LVS more so than Win. So technically, this is a no touch because it lost a few head necklines and it could be headed down to here. So from that perspective, and what I did when I said when it got down here, I said, okay, I can go long, but it could be drawing this, and it didn't even do this. It just barely did this, and it's going straight down. So buy the dip here. That was an old note. I still agree, but knowing that it could go a little bit lower. So in fact, what does this say? Okay, so this is just an alert for me to buy the dip. I just didn't put any words to it. It will have sellers lurking through 110. I will buy the dip if it happens. Earnings soon, tomorrow? Somebody give me the heads up on these things. Yeah, so tomorrow I think it's earnings. So hey, another coin flip. We don't know. Las Vegas, didn't they report already? Yes. And here's the scary part about LVS. This is almost like COVID levels. I mean, why? What is wrong? What is happening? So that's the question. I would be more apt to catch this falling knife, but the P&L is in shambles. So be careful how big you go in, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know their business model. Is the government going to shut down again? I don't believe so, because we can't afford it. They can't afford to reflate the economy. They blew their wad, 7 trillion, however much. That's it. We're done. We're tapped out. So I think they'll fight tooth and nail not to have to close the country again. Okay. I missed one. I know I've missed one. I'm sorry if I missed one. So go Apple and Affirm in Canada. Okay, so do your homework on that one. AMD, Alex, what can I say? I love the company. I would never touch it up here. Not because it cannot go higher. It's just not for me. I missed it. I'm man enough to say I missed it. I still think we can buy it at 65. When? I don't know. I'll wait. Plenty of other stocks to do. It's just, cheap company. I don't know how cheap it is right now, but the price action is way too aggressive for my taste. That's what AMD is. Okay, we can do all of these. I'm going to get through all of these stickers. Just bear with me one at a time. Apple deal with AMD? I don't know. Snow popped in today. So I'm going down the list to see if anything pops into my head. So wow, how did it move me down so fast? I wish this didn't scroll. Okay, we did BYND, we did Affirm, Apple News, Futures Markets, Tesla next. Okay, you were right. I should just listen to you. You pop the names on the screen and I'll do them. Okay, so Tesla, it triggered long a couple of days ago in the chat room. I said for fast hands, if you want to chase it, there it is. So when something breaks out, they come back and retest the neckline. The neckline was about 600 or 700 to round it. It will have sellers at 760. I thought the target would be 780 for that. So if somebody went long and trimmed a little bit, it's okay to stay long for that trade. Is this an entry opportunity for the long term? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Therefore, if somebody's dying to get long, I would rather sell puts to own shares. If you don't know what that is, we can have another discussion, but let's do just tickers today. Basically, selling puts is I collect a lot of money right here up front for the promise that I would want to buy 100 shares of Tesla. If I cannot afford 100 shares Tesla, that proposition is out the window, but I can sell a put spread instead, and it works just the same. Similarly, I would buy the dip anywhere under 600 into 560 with a tight stop. If it loses 560, I think it loses 400 or gets down to 430, not loses 400, which would be a great buying opportunity. And I would definitely go in with both feet. Buy. By buy, I mean get long however I want to get long. There are sellers lurking up here, but I think 780 is doable from the breakout here. Look at it. It's a nice little cup and handle, and the upside potential is about this big, and then this stands in the way. That's Tesla. Boom. ATVI, ouch, right? I think it had a bad day. And then, post-market is up 6%, back up to here. So what happened was they reported, and then, Take-Two reported today. It got hammered 10% or whatever. And ATVI reported after hours. So somebody in the chat room brought it to my attention literally with 4 minutes to go. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go play something. And I couldn't get it right, get it in time, the message out. So I was able to slip buying something after hours. Let me see. And because the move down today in ATVI was in sympathy to Take-Two's report, which was a miss. I think they missed something like 10% or whatever. And it fell 10%, so that was appropriate. But they're both fell into support. So ATVI, if I wasn't out by the time it finished falling, I shouldn't have panicked, because if you look left, folks, there is a ton of support. This company has a lot of fans. I know personal friends that don't sell their shares. They absolutely love it for years. And I was like, why would you want to own the stock forever? No, I love it. I'm like, okay. So here, watch this. This is if the markets hold up, this was a great buying opportunity. I missed it. I didn't have enough time to get long it. This line, this line, this line, this zone, actually, this whole thing. So there's a ton of support down below here. Would have been a great time to sell puts into the sphere. I bet you could have sold puts and collected dollars down here. What does that mean? It means that you would have collected, if you did 10, you would have collected $1,000, $2,000 to promise somebody that you would buy their shares at 60. I know it's nuts. I did it with AMD at 20 last year during the pandemic. Somebody paid me money to buy their shares at 20. It never got there, so I never bought the shares, but I collected thousands of dollars promising. So this is the concern technically. Some sort of a head and shoulders on the bounce. It's going to find resistance up here. I guarantee you that. And if it does that and comes back and loses this level here, some people play a line. I play a level. So let me take this junk out and I'll explain the difference. So do I have lines? Okay, so yes, it lost this line and it didn't price it all out. So some people say you lost a line, therefore that's a head and shoulders. So you're going to go down like this, as much as this. I say wait for the trigger here, this line. I want to see it lose this level to say alert. This is where I say, uh-oh. So somebody would have triggered already up here. I'd say this is the real trigger for me. I'd forego this bearishness if somebody's trying to short it. Bottom line, it has support now on the bounce. Beware of the sell-off up there, and then beware of the retest of the support it just lost. And then there's more support here. So buy the dips, basically. I will put an alert here. I'll put credit put spread, which is a bullish trade. It does not need a rally. That's too close. I'm just throwing them out there because under duress, you don't know what happens. Whoop. All right. So somebody wants to look at futures contracts. So GC is gold, basically. I issued a trade that's long gold. Let me take out the lines. And it worked out. I chose to sell a put spread at 168.5, and I booked it on a pop, and I'm waiting. It's stuck in between triggers. So I want to see a breakout from here to chase gold up. This is the GLD. I want to see a breakdown from here to buy it again and chase it back up. If it loses this one, it's going down to here, at which point I will reload gold again. Now you have to pay attention to the dollar, because the dollar, when it rallies, it puts downside pressure on everything that's priced in dollars. Oil, gold, any commodity. This zone should hold up, in my opinion. So gold is bullish. Oil, I will short it on every pop. I've shorted it so many different ways. My last method was shorting the USO, which is an ETF, a US oil fund. at 51. I shorted it here. It made me money. It came up to here. I said I will short it, and then I got busy and I didn't. I should have. If it comes back up here, then it becomes dangerous. It becomes like an inverse head and shoulders. And then I may chicken out of it, but I may just get a big head and sue it. I don't know. We'll see. I don't believe in the oil story. It just doesn't make sense. I know Goldman Sachs, the gods of investing, have said so, but just think about it. We're driving less. We're flying less. We're doing more online Zoom classes. Most people are never going back to work. And then they tell us that all auto manufacturers are phasing out all combustible cars this decade, in 5 years some. How are we going to use more oil? And we have more oil available than ever. If we turn on the pumps, we will be awash with oil. How is that bullish for the market? I just don't buy it. It's a dying commodity. It should be priced around $30. I think OPEC will bring it down to 55 and keep it there. The crude prices, CL, on the futures contract, it would look something like this. And somebody else, for the gold, it's GC. That's what the futures contract looks for gold instead of the GLD, but it's the same thing. See, the GLD, we spoke about breakout level, support level, and secondary support level, and then a head and shoulders if it fails, and then gold. I'll put it in here too in case the other one blows up. Long gold. I will go out and buy physical gold if it gets down to here. Okay. All right. So we did that to death. ZB, somebody wants to do ZB as well. I'm long the TLT. Look at this beautiful, the TLT breakout from here, recent breakout from here. I'm long from way down there. Shared it. So now what happened? What just happened this week? They popped above a prior neckline. Now they can attack the beast, this one. That was a monster fail. Absolutely devastating fail, but they kept a higher low. Look at this trend. I've rarely seen this. This is as impressive as this. So they corrected a mistake. And now if they take this out, they're going to here. So I'm staying long. In fact, I've been selling calls against my calls short term. So now I got my long position is a credit. So I got paid to be long. So it's not only house money, I have credits already. So I'm staying long to see what happens here. That's ZBZN. Let me see here. Going down the list, Ethereum. Here's the easiest trade on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Crypto. On big dips, just buy a little bit. The easiest wins this year. 30% on Doge, on ADA, on Ethereum, just whatever. Open an account and fund it. You don't have to buy a whole coin. You can buy parts of a coin. So you say, oh, I don't have 30,000. You don't need it. You just buy pieces. So today, out of all the markets, the heat map, if you look at it, the only red stuff is fintech, like Visa, MasterCard, PayPal. So let's look up PayPal. Well, Visa, MasterCard were red, right? Yeah. Okay. So Visa was down 1%. MasterCard was down 2. But they're both down into support. Let's go back to the question of PayPal. Somebody's mentioning it. It's falling into a pivot zone. So if you're a Fibonacci person, I bet you I'm eyeballing. This is about 50%. Boom. That green line is 50% of that extension. What does that mean? It just means that when you rally and you get back half of it, it's normal price action. So it doesn't mean that the company sucks. In fact, if I had seen it, I did see it, and I just didn't go long because I just have too many longs right now. How would I go long here? I would sell puts or put spreads down here. When? I would go out in time. Who wants to fight the battle right here every week? Everybody wants to sell weekly options. Oh, I want to book. But if you sell long dated options, you collect more. And if it pops a little bit, you just close, buy it back, and you can book your profit halfway through, and it would be the same dollar amount as the other one with less hassle. So in other words, if I sell a put spread here and collect 50 cents, I can sell a put spread down here and collect $1. And if this one gives me full profit or this one gives me 50% of profit, I made 50 cents anyway without the risk of being blown out every week. That's my mentality. It's like fighting inside of a trench war or fighting from the headquarters with binoculars. That's the best way to fight. Trust me, I grew up in a war. It's not a fun thing to be in the trenches. Okay, how do you get volume profile? On TradingView, it's not free. You have to pay for their first level. I don't know how much that is, $15 a month. It's open and it's called VPVR. Volume profile VP. VR stands for variable range. So it's variable range, meaning if I zoom in, it adjusts. That's super cool. You zoom in, it just adjusts. Then they have another one called VPSV session variable. So it's volume profile for the session, and it's HD. So for short-term periods, for example. So this is a 15-minute chart. It gives me for every session the volume profile. Super cool, because you can really tell where the important parts. This little red line, that's the point of control for that day. This little red line for that day, this little red line. You can see that, you know, they're losing steam here. So that's how you can get it. Now, Thinkorswim has it for free if you have an account with Thinkorswim. And over there, I use something called TPO profile, not volume profile. That's the one I use. I like it. Works for me. We did Tesla already. Moderna, too high. Somebody said, what do you think about Moderna? What do I think about Moderna? I think it's awesome, but not for me. So way too high. Wow. What? This was like midday. When I looked at it earlier, it was not anywhere near here. What happened? My God. What the? Whoa. Holy crap. Jeez Louise. Yeah. If you twist my arm, I would buy a put spread in that sucker way out in time. Not because I think it's a bad company. I just think it's just, if you force me. If you don't force me, I wouldn't do it. Oh my God. GME is going into the S&P. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this party is going to end in tears. Okay. So definitely too high. This is where I call THTH. It's too high to chase and too hot to short. Let me give you a visual representation of that statement. Look at this one right here. I'm not saying this is going to repeat. Great enthusiasm, all-time high, and then it faded. I would have shorted it instead of going long if somebody said, you have to trade Moderna. I would have said, but it's too high. No, you have to trade it. I say, okay, if you force me, I'll buy a put spread. And not because I think the company sucks, because I think the price action just deserves some rest. And it came. So the same thing here. I don't think this sucks. I don't think it's expensive or cheap. I don't know enough about it. You know, the vaccines are too new. I think now they can raise prices after they've inoculated the world once. Then they can start profiting from their efforts. So it's crazy to short it. Now, here's the risk that nobody's talking about. With all these reinfections, shouldn't anybody say, you know what, you promised us 90% efficacy, and it's not, because 50% of the people that got vaccines got COVID again? I'm making up these numbers. Don't hold me to them. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm saying that's conceivably a risk. Somebody coming out with some study. You'd be surprised. Maybe somebody will short the stock, go out and do a study, pay some people to do a study, and have them release a statement. You don't think that stuff happens? Of course it happens. So I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that's a risk. And it's a big risk, because 95% and 98% efficacy, that's just wow. It may be too good to be true when the rest of the vaccines are nowhere near that. So we'll see. I hate to talk about vaccines because it always gets me in hot waters. It's a personal thing. It's an emotional thing. But in here, it's dollars and cents. This stock, regardless of what it is just too high for my taste. I'm man enough to admit I missed it. I'll catch it on the flip side. Snow. Somebody mentioned snow. It did pop with an alert today because it went above a prior fail zone. I got an email to myself saying, whoop, look at snow. I did, but look at where it stopped, at a prior ledge. So these two candles are a mirror image of themselves, of each other. So I would imagine there's going to be some resistance here, but I do like the company. I have gone long it before. I've never shorted it, I don't think. So there was a breakout from here where this is the target. This could be a new breakout, but I think, you know, this close to 300, it might sucks it up to a round number. So if I'm long, I could stay long, but I would definitely lock in some profits. I do like the company long term. I believe I did ATVI. Can I check IBM? Sure. One of my least favorite companies from the management perspective, under the leadership or lack of leadership of, forgot her name, Ginny Rometty. I mean, they kept promising and promising and promising general terms. Oh, we're doing this and doing that. And they had, bad result after bad result. And she kept her job for such a long time. And then finally they replaced her. And then the new guy is just about more the same. So a while back, I did trade it more long than short. In fact, I don't remember ever shorting the stock. I did. I apologize. I did. And I'll tell you where exactly. Hold on. There. CEO Rometty, look at my note. It sounded unspecific. She could have been talking about any company. I think she did that with Tim Cook. They were sitting down and they were both talking, oh, we're holding hands, generality, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And I said, I'm shorting IBM. And then somewhere in here, what's his face, left it around 180, Buffett. And look where it is right now. So back to today. But that doesn't stop me from trading it right now as a company. Stock. This is a problem. This is a problem. This was a breakout with two problems ahead of it. This was a weekly sandbox that I drew a while back based on a couple of candles I saw. So I said, this is the range. Trade the range until one side busts. One side did bust. They found footing where at a pivot zone that I had marked before. This was my arrow potential. They stopped short of it. Well, maybe they did, maybe they don't. What happens here, they're going to find resistance, in my opinion, and this might fade, and they need to hold this. Otherwise, the progress may come back to here, and they may actually finish the job and close this gap. Hopefully you followed that. This gap close is not a reason to short it. I've just told you there's going to be some resistance, and they will need the help of the market. Other than that, fundamentally, I don't like the company. Fundamentally, they need to show me something. It's like every other company made the turn into the new era of tech, except these guys. Maybe they are making it, and I'm too stupid to see it, but I don't think so. I think they have not done a great job. Not the people, just the leadership. Not to insult anybody that works there. In fact, I have relatives that work there. Okay, Apple, AMD, QS, yes. So QS, please. Here's a lesson that I give everybody. Well, this advice I would give my brother if he would ask me. He would never invest in this one. So QuantumScape, it is the way I understand it, a company that's trying to make solid state battery work in a car. I'm an electrical engineer from schooling from eons ago, and that just doesn't sound doable. And what I read about it, it looks like, yes, it could work in an ideal situation, but if they can do it, they're going to be a bazillionaires. But I would bet against them, unfortunately, for that car application. I don't know if they have plans on going smaller applications, then it might be great. So it's one of those speculative bets, and every portfolio can have some. So if I take a bet, buy the company shares or buy in the money leap calls as if buying shares or selling puts to own shares, I would admit to myself that this is a wild card. I don't have any expectations. And here's the most important part. I don't add to my risk, because even if I believe in it totally, it's still a binary event. It either happens or it doesn't happen. And that's a coin flip. So averaging down in a company that doesn't have any income is a no-no in my book. So if you keep that in mind, then buy it on blind faith or make your bet a blind faith bet lottery ticket. Don't average down. I would not average down. Palantir, love the company. I like everybody that talks from the company. Every time I listen to somebody I don't know their names or anything. I just know the crazy hair guy. I don't even know his name. But the company itself sells to the government and then sells to the private sector. So it's a honey hole. And somebody just recently said they're going to be the next Google or something like that. That's a stretch, maybe decades down the line. I'm not sure. But I'll buy the dips. Simple as that. I have bought the dips. I'm holding calls for the earnings, a wild card call setup. And if it falls, I'll sell puts. I'll buy more calls. I can buy shares and sit on them forever. Totally viable investment thesis. So if it breaks from here, it's going to here. If it dips down to here, I'm going all in. I'll show you where was the first time it came to right here was the first time I saw a breakout and I had an alert, and look what happened. And now if this is lost, then it comes down to here. There's really strong support. For some reason, if they lose that support, what a gift that would be. I'd hate that to happen because people are long. I don't want that. I don't want them to suffer. But I don't know what lies below this green line if they lose it, because I don't know the conditions under which that would happen. So you can see the silly drawing here. It almost got there. But hey, that's how we plan things. AI. Okay, so AI, I am long on a lottery ticket like you would be in QS. The same thing I said about QS applies here from the lottery ticket perspective, except I'm betting on the guy. So this is, I believe, Siebel, right, from Siebel Systems, who used to work for Cisco or anyway. So he sold his company to his employer for billions. So I'm hoping he's got an exit strategy. So it's a buyout headline that I'm waiting for. I own calls, they're underwater. They were green at one point. I said, listen, this is a lottery ticket. I'm in it to win it, or I'm going to lose all of it, and that's fine. I will not add. I have not added because I don't have a thesis, except that I'm hoping for, this is something that I usually don't do, but it's holding a floor. Losing the floor will be, ooh, who knows what's below that, but let's go with that. It's too new to have any kind of thought process behind it other than you make a assumption and you run with it. All right, so how come I'm scrolling back up? Geez Louise, that thing is jumping all over the place. I wish it would stop doing that. Let's see here. Sava. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest about Sava. I'm intrigued. So I saw the drop. I went to do a video on it just to release on YouTube. Nothing specific. I was like, geez, all the comments said the news was not bad. In fact, it was great. So now I'm intrigued. I have it on my homework list to do more homework. So if you want to tell us exactly why the news was bad or why the news was good about Sava, that'd be great. So something happened for them to puke it out like this. That's a huge devastation. So clearly this was wrong. So assuming that the fall was from here, so it just lost 30%, even if I don't count all of this. Yeah.
This one is an Alzheimer's play, and
right.
they popped on the Alzheimer's, and my understanding is that drop was related to news relating their Alzheimer's.
Right, but the comments, and there were several of them, that they said that was great news. Whatever the news was. I haven't read, so I need to go read to get it firsthand. Technically, it fell into strong support. So I should have bought it blind. I had the orders lined up. By bought it meaning I either sell a put spread or buy a call or a call spread into it. So I may still do that. So if it dips back down here, I may still do that. I don't know what the deal is. Oh, wait, earnings when? They did earnings today. So it's up 6%. So they reported as estimated. But again, I'll read the details and see what happens. Technically, it was a right thing to do to buy the dip, but not with both feet, both hands, because we don't know. I don't know. Okay, so CAR, I'm just going to hit tickers as I see them instead of spending 2 minutes hunting for them. So this would not be an obvious point of entry for CAR. This is Avis budget. I don't know how they run their business. I recently rented a car, first time in years and years. I went to the Outer Banks, and there's no way to get there after you land unless you rent a car and drive for 3 hours. So it's going into a prior fail. So it's exciting, the progress it made over 84. So it might have some tailwind. The strong candle from today is pretty good, but look where it stopped. So let's see what tomorrow brings. Oh, it's up here already. Okay. So I guess tomorrow will be telltale what they do against this one. Sorry, I can't give you any more than this. And if it gets up here, it's not an obvious point of entry, but it's not a reason to shy away from it. So if I'm long, I can trail some longs, leave some runners, so to speak. Did I put the wrong ticker? I think you were asking for CAR. Oh, okay. So if you're asking for this one, way too high. I missed it if I'm not long. BNTX, what is that? Wow, what is that? Okay. Too high for me. That's a TH. It's too high to chase and it's too hot to short. If you want to short it, I would use a debit put spread way out in time. Earnings are coming, so how well would they do with the earnings? I don't know. So do your homework on that one. It's a coin flip going into the earnings, so it's a double no for me. CRSR. Did I do CRSR?
Don't think so.
Okay, so Corsair, I would, in fact, I did nibble. So it closed off the low today. It lost the neckline, but it had just already lost the neckline. So I don't know which target they're going for. All I know is it has supports from this cluster here. And Logitech also got hammered. So they reacted to a miss of sort in the earnings. But if they read the report, they grew revenues 24%. They grew net margin, something in the margin, 24%. And so they missed on a few things, but on the net, they had positive news. So it's a how do you want to look at the results and what were you expecting type of a thing. The report itself was not bad. The reaction to the report was bad. Therefore, it's reason to get long in a bullish market. So I do like the company, and I would catch the falling knife. I can't tell you that this is an absolute floor. That's why I would sell a put spread and collect some premium and see if it stays above it. And guess what? When I sell a put spread, it means I'm bullish and I don't want price to get to it. But if it gets to it, that position gets read. In my case, in this stock, I wouldn't defend it. I would take the shares that get assigned to me and sell the leg that I had for protection out of the put spread and make basically my break-even price around 21, which wouldn't be the end of the world to own shares. I'll sit on it and make it work and trade out of it. Cisco, I bet you I'm going to say not for me up here. Guess what? It's not for me up here. I just don't understand it. Sales are flat. Are they growing the net? Maybe they're growing the net. Something is moving. Nope. Flat bottom line, flat top line. Yet, price never been higher. Oh, I checked that. Oh, what? Okay, so if I wanted to short the market, I would short Cisco. Look at this is a monthly chart. This is like zooming out and forgetting about everything. Look at these tails up here. The month just started. So this is this month. And this candle will be ongoing until the end of the month. This candle is a very bullish monthly candle. They tried to sell it. They opened here and they closed at the upper end of it. In fact, that was almost that was the second highest monthly close ever behind this one. Let me see. Check that. What? Okay, I changed my mind. Okay, so check this out. This is tremendous resistance. I stand by that. But if for whatever reason they take this out on a monthly basis, it could be going to the moon. But this is wow, that is a scenario that takes a lot of hope. And I mean, if this was Amazon with Amazon growth, P&L and balance sheet and all of that, okay. But for Cisco, it's just tough pill to swallow for me from here. But that would be a great catalyst if they can close on a monthly basis above that. So I'm going to put a note on here. Monthly breakout, cup and handle with a question mark. I mean, really? Okay, so there you go. Don't take my word as in it's a shortable stock until you understand what I just said. See how you need to. I started with one opinion and then I zoomed out and I thought I had the right opinion and then I zoomed out more. I was like, wait, what? All right, so new comments. Let's go down. XBio. All right, let's go to XBio. Oh, you got lucky, huh? Oh, it's tiny market cap. That's a micro cap stock. Yeah, I can't deal with these stocks. They're too fast for me. So kudos on just watch the fact that this failed at exactly the tail of this one. So these are just wild gambling. There's hardly any investing here unless you're in it for the long term. So good job, but not for me. Sorry. Pfizer vaccine partner to who? Okay, we'll do Lucid first, and then we'll go back to vaccine talking. See how I avoid vaccine talking? It just caused me grief lately. So I upset a friend, apparently, because I disagreed with them. All right, so I just increased the line there. First of all, not my favorite EV stock. Car is great, beautiful car, as a company stock. So I think the price of the car makes it not for the masses, unless they have a lower priced car planned, which I don't think they do. If you go to their website, Lucid, they say, this used to be CCIV, right? So they say you can reserve your car for $300. We promised production last half, but they kicked the can for this half. I haven't heard anything about them kicking the can out of this half. If they kick the can out of this half, I think the stock will fall to 16 or lower. I'm speculating. I don't know anything more than you do. Maybe you do know. You know more than I do. So production should start now. And if that happens, then their forecast for delivery is 2023. So I can tell you, Tesla will have 3 iterations between now and 2023. Audi will be very ubiquitous. I say this because I'm going to give you channel checks. I live in Southern California, the land of Teslas. In my neighborhood, out of 70 homes, maybe half of them are Tesla. Not mine, of course, but maybe half of them are Tesla. And now there are 2 or 3 Audi e-trons. So I know 2 or 3 doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 2 or 3 out of 70. So, and I see them everywhere else, and they sound way better than Teslas, and they're cooler looking. And that little coupe, I forgot what it's called, GT, I think, looks like a tiny R8. Oh my gosh, I would drive that. And I'd like to drive cars because I used to race cars, but I need a growl. But the Audi e-tron noise is beautiful. So what I'm saying is, by the time Lucid comes to market, they're going to be so far behind in actual, rubber on the pavement type of a deal, in my opinion, that I can't get too excited about the stock from an investment perspective. Trading wise, it's beautiful. Look at it. Ping pong, ping pong. So you have a range, you trade the range, you buy it here, you sell it here, you buy it here, you sell it here, until that range fails. And then you chase it lower if it fails lower, and you chase it up if it fails up. So there is resistance above, there is support below. Lose either of those 2 lines, and the breach will carry momentum in that direction. So the upside opportunity is there, but I think it's labored. And the short opportunity is there, but I wouldn't do it. The fans of the stock are incredibly loyal. I commend them for that. But I really hope that they're realistic about the actual dollars and cents of it, because that's in the end what matters. Now, the orange line here is the volume profile. That's good for the bulls. It's a good, strong base. So for them to do this, they're going to need bad news. I don't know when they're supposed to give us a milestone check on the production date, but be aware that that could be a source of bad news. That's Lucid. Enough said about that. I'm not against it. I'm just saying realistically. Riot. It is a riot to trade it. Okay, I do have lines, so let's make them bigger. This is a Bitcoin play, right? So let me double check. Blockchain. Okay. I don't know if they mine. Is that their business, just mining? Mining. Wait, mining computers or mining?
Bitcoin and that kind of stuff.
Right, but are they selling the shovels to mine, or are they actually mining?
I think they're actually doing the mining. I'm not 100% certain, but because I've traded this one before, I think they do the mining.
Okay, yeah, I've traded it before. I just can't remember what they did. Okay, so buy the dip into prior support, and then be aware that if they lose the base, come down to here, it would be another opportunity to buy the dip. So basically trade the range until one side breaks. Right now, it's in the middle of the range. There's really nothing to do. If I'm long, I stay long. If I'm short, I want to see what happens if they come down to here. Really, until they lose this one, the shorts have nothing to short from a technical perspective. In fact, I have this buy the dip opportunity line where it fell into it and they're trying to get out. So I'm going to move this because it's like not serving any purpose. But if I buy the dip, I have to stop out right away because whoop, if it's lost, stop fast. Stops. This side no, with stops. So buy the dip for swing up if it comes down to here, or chase the breakout from here. And I wouldn't stand in its way. It's really, in this environment, it's really violent. When you short something and then it goes against you, you just can't get out. It's so hard. Somebody asked me, how do you short things? What does that mean? It means the traditional way of shorting, which I would never do. Please don't do it. Think about it. You borrow shares because you believe the stock is going to go down. You just borrow 100 shares. You can say, Nick, if you have 100 shares of the stock, give them to me. I'll return them to you. You take the shares, you sell them, you put the money in the bank. And if you're right, the shares fall and you the price fall, you go and buy back 100 shares, lower price, and you return the 100 shares you borrowed from me. So you bank the difference. But if the stock spikes like it did up here, you're losing your shirt indefinitely for as long as the stock is rallying, until they do a margin call or liquidate your assets, the broker. If you did that with GME, you went broke. Thoughts on semi? Whoa. Here's my thought on. I think I missed it. I'm trying to zoom out to make sure. Yeah, good breakout. Not an obvious point of entry. How about that? Fair enough? That's a fair enough statement. Go EV. Is it a charging station or battery seller? SPAC. So it's neither. What is it trying to be? I don't know. Anyway, so you're going to have to ask yourself, first of all, if you're asking me to see if you should double down, I wouldn't double down. If you're asking me to see if you should buy it for an investment, do your homework, because I don't know anything about it. EV seems like to be the technology to beat ICE, the internal combustion engine, but I think it's going to end up being a hybrid model of sorts. Just ask Toyota; they're pretty good at that. So yes, there is a market. I don't know what they're doing, so do homework to see what their slice of that market is. And when I take risk on something that's speculative, like I said earlier, I make it finite, specific, with X dollars, and not add to it. And if I wanted to opportunity to manage the risk, I should just do half. So if I was planning doing 100 shares, I should do 50 and 50. This way, I'm not adding to my mistake. I've already assigned 100 shares, but I just did some now and some later, versus doing 100, the whole lot now, and then deciding to double that later. It's not the same. The risk size should be the same and just break it up into two pieces. That's my opinion. NTDO. What? I thought I heard them all. What is that? Oh, the Nintendo. Is that thing still on? Okay, so it rallied from here to here and it's trying to give back half. Probably too late to panic out. It's coming into a pivot zone. Let me see from prior history. So yeah, this was a roof. Took a long time to get back to it and break out from it. They tested it for flooring. This is classic. How breakouts happen. They come to a zone. They come to a zone. They fail. They take forever. They break out from it. They come back and test it for footing, and then they rally. They come back and test it for footing. They rally. They come back and test it for footing. They lost footing. They go down to the next base and they recover. Now here, this was the failure. They took months to come back. They broke out, tested it for footing, and they are testing again for footing. Remember what happened here? So we are here. Basically, this is this. So maybe they do this. In fact, I'll just draw it right now. This way, when we get together a couple weeks, a couple months from now and see what happens. By the way, I see a link drawn. I would love to have you in the chat room if you're not there already. Thanks for doing that, Rodrigo. So you want to avoid this. There is support here. So in all fairness, for all the bulls, so they don't get upset, I'm going to put it here, actually. There's support higher than here, but I'll just put it here. That just represent, I'll say a zone. So it's pretty wide zone. Nevertheless, it might come down to here. and there will be resistance above. That's Nintendo. My impression of Nintendo. Again, I'm not up to speed. Well, I'm looking at the P&L. That's pretty impressive. My bad for not being up on it. Resistance zone. It's actually here somewhere. So yeah, P&L is pretty good. You can see them here. The blue bars are rising. That's the revenues year over year, even through a COVID year. Well, of course, actually, it probably helped him. Let's see. This cheap stock, good find. So I don't want it to do this, but if it does this, it's a buying opportunity. In fact, thank you. Homework done. Long. I'll put a question mark because I'm not familiar with it. So I want to do more homework as it happens, if it happens. We did XBio. All right, let me scroll down to the new comments. Do anyone know what does the yellow line in the VPR? Yes. This yellow line in the VPVR means it's called the point of control, because it is the highest point where there was the most trades. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. If you look left, you can see it. There was no more volume than this one in this period of time. If I zoom in, it will change. Now it's at 43.11. If I zoom in, now it's at 70. Whoa, see? So now if we just look at, wait, am I on a weekly chart? Yes. Okay, so sorry about that. That was a weekly take on Nintendo. All right, so shorter term, I do have more information. You totally have a bounce level available. But the lines I set are correct. They're just zoomed out, like a big picture. So the volume profile in this case is at 71, which works against it, because now the bounce has to go through a heavy volume area, which means that there's going to be congestion above it. So if the bulls get ahead of steam, they're going to hit traffic and they're going to slow down. Okay, what's the next sticker? EDR, they own the UFC. Do they now? Well, then they're making money. Why isn't their stock doing well? I had that debate yesterday. My son asked me about a UFC fighter. I said, I fight for a sport, and I stopped watching the UFC because they became too commercial. Okay, so so with the COVID, it hurt them because no fights, no coverage, but I don't know what else they own. So you have to look at their portfolio. Sales were 2017, 3.6, 4.6, good progress. And then COVID, boom, back to 3.4. So it's unfair to judge it now. You have to do some homework and see if they're recovering well. Let's see, total revenue, quarter after quarter, 1.3, 1.2, 900, 1, iffy on a quarterly basis. So let's see valuation if we can. Nope, no numbers here. All right, whatever. So you don't want to catch a falling knife without signs of a bottom. In this case, okay, they made a bottom and they're making higher lows. That's good. Just like when the first ticker, if you were here first, I forgot what the ticker was. They made a bottom and they're moving up. It's okay to make lower highs while you're making higher lows. They will come to blows here somewhere. So if you want a line that would start making good news, 26.2, 26.3 or higher has resistance, but they've already overcome the physical hurdles of these candles, especially if it's from higher lows. And you bust out, you can make 27, a lot of resistance there. 28, a lot of resistance there. Are you hearing that? 29, a lot of resistance there. But I bet you this is the type of stock that goes out of nothing for some reason. But if it wasn't, then those would be the lines I'd watch. Neo, Square, okay, we can do both. ME, let's do ME. It came in first. What is this? Oh, 23andMe. So here's a funny question I have, not a funny question. So people are freaked out about having spam in their email, and nobody worries about sending their DNA to a company and pay them for it. I don't know. It's just not my thing. No income. I don't have any financials, so I can't justify it from an investment perspective. I mean, the idea sounds pretty good. The businesses they can do by selling, by monetizing your information is great. I don't know how they're going to do it. technically the $10 line is death right now. And any spike into 950 or 10, if that gets me out of hot water or cuts my losses in half, I would take that. And if I wanted to be long, just in case I'm wrong, I would figure out a different way to make it so that I'm not crying over the fact that it ran without me after the fact. But this is horrendous price action. I don't like it. I do like NIO as a company. It's a baby Tesla. XPEV is a baby NIO. So those are my 3 picks for EVs. Why? Not because they're the best cars, because they're the best business. They have a P&L. I can measure it. So this is a P&L. I say, okay, how are they doing? Whoa, they went from $750 million to 1.2 to 2.4 to 3.4 billion. I have tangible results. Okay, they still lose about $1 billion and change. Who cares? They're growing sales. Statistically, I can measure them. They're 21 times sales. They're positive cash flow from operations. That's huge. That was the big change in Tesla that people miss. They keep complaining about Tesla. It creates $6 billion more than $6 billion in cash flow from operations. So it feeds itself. It no longer needs to borrow to survive.
Did we go over Robinhood, Nick?
No, I just remembered I saw a hood.
I just wanted to let you know. Yeah. So that's a trade. Just so you guys know, I've learned a lot from Nick, but I made this trade today, and basically I got in at 37 on Robinhood. Nick has this saying that NTNT, so no trigger, no trade, and no thesis, no trade, right, Nick?
Yep.
So my thesis was, my background is in finance. So my thesis was that a lot of people, like with Peloton, a lot of their sales are buy now, pay later. And the thesis was that people will rather do that than go to the bank because of the high credit card rates. So now you see that I believe it was Square that acquired Afterpay from Australia. Yeah. And that was the first trigger. The second trigger was Kramer basically talking about Robinhood possibly getting into this space. So I got in today. I'm still in it, but there's a lot of demand for this ticker. If you can go over it.
So yeah, I wanted, when it dipped down here, I was chatting up with friends of mine on Skype and in the chat room as well. And I said, boy, I wish it had options already, because I would have been all over it. Because if people make fun of it, the fact is they're killing it. And people complain about them just like they complained about Uber, just like anything that grows fast, they complain about. They're game changers. They're really changing mentality about trading. They created a whole group of people that trade. Sustainability is still unproven, but they have all the ingredients to be successful. And I was like, I don't care what they do. They seem like they're doing the right stuff. So I didn't buy shares. I should have, in hindsight, but I wanted to play them with the options, but they didn't have options yet. So here's the thing. I don't like chasing. If you're in it, great. Don't forget to lock profits by selling a little bit. So I will catch it on the next dip. And I'm sure that if the market's correct, this one is too new, doesn't have enough statistics to hold it. In other words, the makeup of a correction that I usually see is, or just a bad stint. Money rolls out of frothy stuff into safe haven. For example, if money managers that actually manage money for big hedge funds have a budget, like Joe Blow here manages $100 million, and he specializes in fintech or this probably finance or something. So they have permission. These money managers have permission to go between this stock, or hide in Apple, or hide in yen, or hide in bonds on the oh shit moments. So that's what happens. So you see them flatten. They probably have a button, sell everything of this profile, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whatever, roll everything into tier 4. I'm just making stuff up with the name, but that's the logic. So he doesn't need, or she doesn't need to call their bosses and say, hey boss, can I roll out of this and buy this? They don't have that. They don't need that permission. So this stuff gets ditched first because it's unproven, it's frothy, and they have too many questions. They go, I'll deal with it later. Let's get out and roll into something I know. So that's the risk. But it was a definite buy down here. People were making fun of it. going down and making a new low. I was like, okay, so we'll see who laughs at the end. I mean, this was an obvious opportunity.
Yeah, and if you think about it, so a lot of people might trash talk because of the GME and all that stuff that it went down, but I don't know if people know here, but Bank of America is the bank that has been fined the most in history, but they're the bank that has the most checking accounts in the US. So people trust them with their money still, yet they have the highest. So this is, people forget about this stuff, Nick, is what I'm saying. And if
Yeah.
COVID causes lockdowns in some places, where do you think these retail traders are going to go? To Robinhood, right?
I don't know. I don't know if the lockdown will feed Robinhood from that indirectly, maybe, but because they can trade anywhere, really. But Robinhood has created this band of clients. And the other day, actually, in the chat room, I don't know if you were in there, somebody was apologizing because they were using Robinhood. They were saying, "Oh, I'm just going to use it for now. I'll roll out into." I was like, "Why are you apologizing? Are you making money there?" He said, "Yes." I was like, "You can trade there." I mean, who says it's bad to trade in Robinhood if you're getting good results? Don't change your winning strategy. That's what I say. So, I read it when I was a kid, some tennis book. I forgot. I think it was Bjorn Borg. If you don't know who he is, you're way too young. Get off the show. No, I'm just kidding. So don't change something that's working for you. So Robinhood's just fine. I don't have an issue with it. And so if it works for you, I think it was an opportunity. I just wish I jumped on it. Good for you for jumping on it. So that's the don't follow the herd. And it's too high for me here. So here's a plan of action. Look at this. What is this? 2-hour candle. So do a 2-hour candle and set levels at 44.6 and 48.6. A $4 span. That's your sandbox first thing tomorrow. Let's see if how long it stays inside of it. And if it gets out of this sandbox, your next level to look at is somewhere around 43. And if it loses that, then you got that big fat one here, and then you can get down to 40, and then you talk about that. So anything below 40 should have good support, just based on this short period of time. We're talking like minutes here. So this is a 5-minute chart. I can tell you they're buying every dip on the 5-minute chart. So until 44.6 fails or 43.2 fails, the bulls are in charge. And if that fails, then it's coming down to here. Then I would buy that dip from a trading perspective. Okay. From an investment perspective, you make the call and invest in it over time, however you feel. I wouldn't go all in right now. That's for sure, regardless of how well we spoke of it. So Square. So this is where I had a great trade and I tried to get fancy, and now I have a headache on my hand and trying to dance out of it. So I went long Square. I shared it. It ripped. I don't know, here. I can't remember. And then it's like, you know what? It's gone far enough. Maybe it was here. Then so I turned my debit call spread into a credit call spread, and I sold some put spreads to turn. So basically, I turned a bullish trade into a neutral trade because I sold an iron condor on it. And then I saw the rip roaring rally coming. I was like, you know what? It's a September spread. I have time, but I want to protect myself. So I bought an August 27th debit call spread. Am I confusing you? So I was long. I thought it was done rallying. I turned it into neutral, and the upper part of my neutral trade got under fire. So I bought another long position to protect myself. So overall, even if it went to the moon, I would have been positive. So I'm dealing with that now. Yesterday on this pop, I sold the protection. So now I'm back to neutral, and I booked some more profits. So I'm waiting to see how it acts today. Tomorrow and through the week, to see if I need to rebuy protection to not ruin a good trade. So I had a simple good win, and I turned it into a complicated management thesis here. So I'll let you know how it works out. But the company's great. Up here, it's not an obvious point of entry, but look at what I have. Resistance and opportunity. So if the bulls are able to bust out of here by fading a little bit, hitting a higher low, and coming back and bursting through it, don't short it. It's a great company in a great environment. We're all going fintech, believe it or not. People who are resisting it are crazy. That's where the world is going. If you don't know crypto, get to know crypto, because the two are going to merge. Anything electronic, it's maybe a decade or two down the line, but we're going there. So get comfortable with it now. So look at this. What are we shorting here? 2, 3, 4, 5, arguably almost 10, 15, 16. Wow. Trailing 12 months. Last year, trailing 12 months. You see this? Not even a year. Crazy rate. The bottom line is increasing just as well. So it might be expensive. No, it's not. People say, oh, 241 PE. Who cares? It's not a value play. It's a growth play. It's only 9 times sales. That's as cheap as Apple. Is Apple growing this fast? Hell no. So cheap company. I wouldn't short it because it's this high. I would short the price action sporadically if I wanted, if I knew how to time these dips. I would buy the dip and sell the rip. But I can chase it if it breaks through the high and closes. This is a daily chart, so one day above here, and you can almost have a guaranteed rally even higher. That's Square. So you can see how Square is going one way and Visa and MasterCard going the other way. I remember days not too long ago when these were the young new kids on the block and they were the mockery of the other two. And now the other two are looking to copy everything Square does. And
even
PayPal
Jamie
does.
Dimon came out and said that they're doing everything they didn't.
Yeah. So Jamie Dimon has put his foot in his mouth quite a few times. Specifically, I think he's the one that said Bitcoin is fake. Like what? That's the head of one of the biggest banks on the planet, smartest mind on Wall Street, arguably, and he says Bitcoin is fake. So then he came back and backtracked on that, I believe. So he set himself straight, but that was surprising. But it shows that things that are new are scary, and this company is tackling a whole bunch of new things. So, but thanks to Bitcoin and thanks to people like companies like these that tackle new things, we're going to be going down that road and not reverting back to old school. Like I was thinking about it. How easy is it to store crypto e-coins basically, versus how easy to store gold? And people say, what are you talking about, gold and Bitcoin? They're the same thing. They're both fake, quote unquote. Why is gold valuable other than the fact that we love it? That's it. It's a freaking yellow rock in the ground. And somebody somewhere back 1,000 years ago, I think 700 BC is when they used it as coins. And somebody convinced somebody that it's worth something. So they picked up the yellow rock and they traded it for a goat or something. I'm just making stuff up, but that's what happened. Somebody convinced somebody who convinced somebody who convinced somebody that gold is valuable. We love it. We must have it. It has very few uses in industrial. It's a good conductor, I think, in medical. It cures a few. It helps deal with some cancers, but we don't need it as a nation yet. We covet it like we need it, like water and more. So it's because we want it, it's got value. Same with Bitcoin. Who cares who created it, if it's digits or actual rock? It's got value because people believe, enough people believe. So it's supply and demand. There's not enough supply of it, 19 million of them, whatever. There's huge demand and increasing. More people are becoming like me and getting into it. So price will rise. How is that fake? So that was crazy when I heard that. And it's not going back. So anyway, Square, good company. Buy the dips blindly when it comes down to here for me. Okay, so somebody's asking for a ride. Didn't they go bankrupt or something? Headlines of them going bankrupt? What are you laughing at?
There was just, no, I don't know. It's just, I think there was like a short report on it, and there's been a lot of.
I thought they're looking for alternative financing methods, meaning they're running out of money. So that's what that means usually when. So, okay, so if I'm long ride, I should admit that it's not looking good. And I would not double down, folks. I promise you, my best friend of all time, I grew up with him in Beirut. We were 3 years old. We were friends. In the dot-com bubble, we were investing, and he kept telling me, I'm averaging down in a company called Webvan. You'd never heard of it because it's gone. And guess what its business was way back then? Grocery deliveries from the internet. I mean, this is like, what a great business to be in now. There was a great business back then, but it was ahead of its time, and they went bankrupt, and he lost all his money on it. And he kept averaging down and averaging down. And I said, you don't average down in something that's not proven. So same thing here. If I made a bet and I want to stay hopeful, I just stay with it. If I bought shares, I don't double down. Look at it. This is a weekly chart. There is no bottom yet. They didn't even try to slow down here. They should have. So next time they bounce, if it gives me relief, I would get out or lighten up and leave some hope lottery ticket play. Nothing against the company. They may still produce trucks. I think trucks, right? Lordstown. And if they do, they might be a private company. Somebody might buy them out. So there's all kinds of upside potential, but I wouldn't keep adding to it, hoping for that upside potential, because companies do go bankrupt sometimes, and they don't go out of business. They just go bankrupt, and Wall Street will spit them out, but they continue on.
Nick, and what are your thoughts on NFTs? I haven't heard your thoughts on NFTs.
Well, I don't know much about them. They're too new for me. I type like reflex NFT. Okay, let's go.
I think HOFV is a very popular one. I think they even did like an exclusive here with
wait, that's Hovnanian. No, HOFV. Oh, NFT.
HOFV.
Oh, FV. Okay, HO. No, that's also a company. So anyway, in general, I wouldn't stand in their way. I wouldn't mock them. I wouldn't short them. I wouldn't say they're fake or anything. Just let them be and let them mature. If you want to be in on whatever is new on the ground floor, and if you're courageous about it, look at the people that did it with Bitcoin a decade ago. 2009, I think, is when it first came out. Wow. Wouldn't you love to be rewound to that back then? So what sounds ridiculous, like what? They did an NFT on a painting. Somebody bought the ownership on a paint or something. Well, they sold stars. They still sell stars. That Pet Rock, you don't know what's going to happen. So don't mock it. I don't know enough about it to opine on it from an expert opinion. So I'm not gonna fake it. I can just tell you that I wouldn't spit it out. So we did ME Square. We did Neo. We did BTBT. Somebody asked me that in the chat room. I don't remember. Bit Digital. What is that? Bitcoin mining company. All right. Is it in China? If it's in China, you have to add the risk there. I'm all for Bitcoin. I don't know. If I want to bet on Bitcoin, I just bet on Bitcoin. Why go through the mining company? Because if Bitcoin rises, this one's rising. If this one's rising, it's probably because Bitcoin's rising. So why not go straight to Bitcoin? But now you have a tradable bottom, 4. And you have resistance into 14 and into 19. So these are lines important. This candle is death. So this candle is what? Whatever happened here? Is this the time when they said, okay, we're going to do Bitcoins? So look, prior fail, long time. This was so wrong, it ruined this neckline. So instead of taking their time and busting, wait, that's weekly. Okay. So they took months to come back to here to break through that, and they just went straight up. Arguably, this was a neckline right here. Cup and handle. Look how big of a cup it is from here. So this upside was baked in from here. All of this was bogus. Bogus meaning too much of a good thing. So they came back, tested the floor. So they have a solid floor below. The 2 points of control here, 2 high points of volume right below where we are right now, at or below. So the bulls have a good chance at these candles serving as a good floor. So if I'm long, I stay long and I can ride it up. So Bitcoin, I can tell you, if they lose 30,000, I don't see it why it should, but if they do, they will whoosh much, much lower. And if that happens, I would go long. If not, I would ping pong between 30 and 40. And this one will probably move along with it. So I'm comfortable long this company if you know that they are really tied to Bitcoin prices. Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I kind of did Bitcoin right now, but we can do Bitcoin. Where's my futures contract? All right, there you go. The box I was just talking about. So if they lose 30, last time they lost 30, before they did, I said if they lose 30, they're going straight down to like 14 maybe. But I said they will probably stop at 28.8. The low the day after was 28.8.00. So they came close again at 2,900 and change. Man, they were playing with fire. So now that becomes a really sharp trigger point. If you lose that, it's going to wish much lower. So don't think I don't like it, because I did a video when it was about 11,000. I said there's a good chance it's going to the all-time high and much higher based on the charts I drew back then. And it did. I didn't know how far up it was going to go, but it definitely did go. So be open to what looks improbable. This is a fast mover. I will buy the dip into here, but I will also leave room to buy a lot more down here if it comes down to there. Breakup, recent fails will become trigger lines if they're passed, and know that there's going to be a lot of resistance up here. I wouldn't short it. Over time, this is going to go higher unless something completely changes technically and a new king emerges. As far as coins I like the top two, this one and the Ethereum. XRP we can't trade, so that's a complete binary event. I don't know if somebody still owns it. I don't know how you would buy it, but anyway, Doge and ADA are my other two that I do trade. So Doge is whatever, anytime it comes to 16 cents or out of just from memory, and ADA anywhere close to $1. Coin. Oh yes, coin. So I did say buy the dip in coin, and I thought it would be doing this. It did this kind of, and it fell a little bit short. I put a box said sellers lurking. Indeed they were. And now we have a triple bottom. So that's the good news. It found support, right? But now the bad news is you better not lose the support. We have mini support here. It's a zone. It's not an actual line. Resistance where it failed. So now we have a tight box, a huge consolidation zone here in its recent history. That orange line, you can see how we're ping-ponging around the orange line, creating the orange line in essence. Unknown risk below here. How would I get long the stock? If I wanted to own the stock for a long term, there's no reason why I shouldn't. I would buy the dip. If for whatever reason this stock crashes, it could go a lot lower. And the way I would catch it is by selling it put on a really, really bad day. If I'm lucky to see it down 20%, 10%, 5%, whatever it is, but deep into the 180s, 170s, then I can sell it put in the 120s and be long at 120. And if it goes there and give me shares, then I'm in at 120 and got paid to do it. If not, I made money out of thin air. That would be how I would trade this stock, or sell a put spread, or buy a call spread, or both. Sell a put spread, sell a put, or and buy a call or call spread. So many ways I can trade this. Fundamentally, there's no way I would bet against it. I just told you we're going to electronic transactions, and this one is right in the heart of them. It doesn't need Bitcoin to be high, right? It just needs Bitcoin to be transacted. And if more people would be transacting coins, that's how they make their money. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And imagine how many other things they can do. Penn is a crowd company, right? So it's understandable that they're sliding as sentiment is now going towards fear of COVID. The fear is not really of COVID, it's of the shutdown. And I don't think they're going to shut down. So I like Penn long-term. It needs time to heal its P&L. So I would short it. I would not short it. I would buy the dip. I can tell you if it loses this line, I don't know why it would be 63 and earnings. Okay, so technically it already lost the line and it's pricing it out. The earnings can snap it out of it. This did not happen. We can take it out. Lost neckline is now resistance, of course. This is lost neckline, so it also is resistance. So into 76, it has a lot of sellers. Into 80, it has a lot of sellers. Into 84, it has sellers. Look, this whole cluster is going to be difficult to go through. And if you lose this one, there's not much below it to stop it from going to here. I would buy the dip here. Pen blind buy below. So if it comes down to here, I'm buying the dip support zone. They have sellers. They're selling the pops. So here's what's going on. They say don't fight the tape, right? Don't fight the tape. Look, sell the pop, sell the pop, sell the pop. Lower lows, lower highs. That's fighting the tape if you start buying along without knowing that that's a bottom. I bet you this point right here, you know, somebody here said, let's go long. And they made money. And if they stayed long, they lost the money. Made money, lost the money. And then lower lows. Be careful. Thank you. Amazing class. Palantir already did. So watch the video. Hua. Hua. There are better Chinese companies to buy than Hua. Hua. I forgot what they do. Wow. Falling knife with no end in sight. So I would rather buy Baba, Baidu, JD, FXI, KWeb than to bet on one company like this. Nothing against the company itself. The P&L looks good, but the fear is that, like, what was that company? The one that, Tao. Great fundamentals until the government said, nope, you can't make money anymore. Boo, gone. Gone. So, look, fundamentals are great. Let's do Hua. I'm not saying this is the same story. I'm completely ignorant about it. Look, great fundamentals. Look at this. So, if I didn't panic out of Hua, I would stay in it to see what happens on this bottom. How about that? If I wanted to take a flyer, meaning a shot in the dark on Hua, I would get long Hua. How? Either buy shares, it's 11 bucks or 12 bucks, and know that they're speculative, or buy calls way out in time and at the money and know that they are speculative. And if this happens, then you're going to be a rich person. And if not, so be it. You bought a lottery ticket. You know, just like a lottery. So how much is an amount that doesn't break your heart? That doesn't break your piggy bank. It's okay to break your heart a little bit. Like when I buy a lottery ticket and I don't win, it's like, oh, but I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Yeah, Luckin Coffee. Luckin was a little different, but yeah, similar. But I think, what's the other one here? The Netflix of China. I can't remember now. SIIS, something like that. We have a delay here, I think. Oh, shoot. IQ. Equi. Same thing as Hua. I used to trade IQ. 16 was the pivot line I always look for. Guess what? It lost it, and now it's going to be the wall. So I don't know where the bottom is. So either or. They're both 12 bucks now. I bet you they'll trade the same. Let me see the P&L on this one. Not as good as Hua, but I mean, 3 billion in sales. Are they just going to disappear? It's the bottom line that may disappear. That's what people are afraid about. So if I wanted to bet long, I'll buy the company knowing that it's a throwaway money. I'll buy calls knowing it's a throwaway company. I won't buy them for the next month. I will go way out in time, spend a couple of bucks more so I don't have to watch it every day. And maybe one day I wake up, Hua, and Equi, yeah, the government's all good. We're going to the moon again. Oh, you're already in at 19. Yeah. Well, hopefully, if I'm in at 19, I wouldn't add because we don't know. It may go to zero. Then I don't know anything new. I'm not saying it may go to zero. That's horrible to say for somebody that's in at 19. But I don't know anything new that would make me believe that this is it. This is the turnaround point. If I do, then okay, maybe I can take a risk by adding a little more. There is a way to use options in order to double down without a lot of money out of pocket. I'm not going to share it here because it's convoluted and requires skill to pull off. But the idea is, I'll give you a hint and you can go down and look at it. You basically turn your shares into one leg of a call butterfly. And that's it. If you know your way around options, that will give you a hint as to how to do it. You turn the shares you own, if you own 100 shares or more, as part of a call butterfly. So if the stock rallies halfway, you're out evenish, but it didn't cost you much money to do it. Usually to do that, you have to double your shares in order to come out profitable halfway. ATVI we covered earlier, Arman. Sorry. It was a buy the dip opportunity, basically. I don't know these stocks offhand. So see, Cinemark. I've heard of the name. What is that? Motion picture exhibit. So I'm not up on these. If you want to trade these companies, that's fine. Why not go with the motherload AMC? I'm curious here. GME. Never mind. So business of movies is never been worse, and these companies should be doing worse than they are. At least this one has not recovered COVID problem. So this is what I expected from AMC, performance like this. But AMC's here, let's compare the two. Like, I can't even see where COVID was here. And that was the world before COVID right here. Look at this. This is lunacy. So back to your Cinemark. Base is right here, but there's this gap down here. So they made a COVID low. They recovered too fast. They said ping pong, and then another low, almost as low as the COVID low. What? And then big spike on earnings, then the moon, and now back halfway. Complete indecision. So what's to stop them from going down to here? Theoretically, 13 zone, 12 to 13 should be support. Joel, you say who was a great buy here? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. As a company, it is. As a company in China, I don't know. I literally don't know. I'm not poking holes in your. I literally don't know. Beachbody company, is that the workout company? Okay, so they're basically competing with Peloton and such. I don't like this chart. $10 is a huge problem right now, plus or minus. If they get to 11 or so, I would get out. If they go above, okay.
I think Wall Street Bets was there.
Okay, so if they take out 11.4, that would be a reason to chase it technically. Buy the dip into 8 as a trading vehicle. Okay, so it has very ginger support below, but if it falls to 8, you can hope it holds at 8 and buy the dip. But that's not a pretty stock chart. Yes. Zabby Zab. That's pretty cute. Disney. We did not do Disney. It is a crowd company, but Disney is the new Netflix. What? It means that it trades like Netflix. It trades like Netflix. I always say it wrong. It's no longer about its healthy P&L. It's no longer about buying it every time it drops under 100 like the olden days. It's no longer about give this stock to your grandchildren. It's a different company altogether. And here's the thing that works against theaters, going back to Cinemark and AMC. The last 2 movies I watched were streamed, and they were new releases. One I paid for, one I didn't. So those proceeds used to be all for the theaters. So even if we reopen and no problems there, we're developing new habits. There's no way I'm going to the movies in a long time, because why would I want to? I've got a great TV at home, great friends, comfortable, pause it anytime you want, don't have to deal with the BS. So we're developing new habits. Back to this one. Walt Disney, its earnings are coming. It's all about the number of subscribers. Probably now they're going to start slicing and dicing. You remember in Netflix, it used to be the number of subscribers. And then it used to be the number of overseas subscribers relative to US subscribers. So they're probably going to do that with Disney, saying how fast is the growth globally? Because the US is only 250 million people probably watching. Globally, we got billions. So keep that in mind. Buy the dip, But lose that 168 level, and you're going down to here. Lose this level, you're going down to here. Buy the dip on either at levels where you think you can trade it. As an investment, a little bit at a time, because the fundamentals are not that great anymore like they used to be. Funko, CSIQ, Funko, AMC continues struggling into the future. Going to go bankrupt. Yes, Joel, I agree. So I hope people are booking profits, because I know people that are holding on to AMC. You think the lawsuits will have any effect on the stock? I don't know what lawsuits those are. So you know more than I do. Lawsuits, if they're matter about cheating this or cheating that, or investor lawsuits, those are usually settled with a fine and they move on. If the lawsuit causes them, like Peloton, if the lawsuit says you cannot sell equipment anymore, oh, that's a game changer. Okay, hood options tomorrow on Thursday. Oh, is it too late for me? So I will do hood options when they come out. Google. I usually do the Google. So here's a question for you. I thought I knew the answer, and now I'm not sure. So they used to say the race to 2000 between Amazon and Google when they were both around the 1500. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, Google's already at 3000 because it's two tickers, Goog and Google. Before the split, Google was $980 per share. And then they split them into two tickers, and each was like 400 and change. So clearly, they took one company, split it into two tickers. Therefore, if I ever want to take the price of Alphabet, it's both tickers. So if that's the case, then this is a $3.4 trillion company, because each market cap shows 1.8 trillion. Or are they reporting the market cap down here for both? I went and read, I swear to you, I read 4 articles, and not articles, threads of people that gave the answer, but they didn't. The headline would say, here's the answer. And you read it, is like, wait, you didn't answer. The one guy says, let me answer your question with a question. And the question was like, what? No. So you find me the answer and come back to me. All right. So Google, too high for me. This is not an obvious point of entry. Extremely strong company. I wouldn't short it, although I do hold a losing debit put spread that I paid a couple $100 for, just for giggles. But if you short it, you're shorting the markets. It's as healthy as it gets. I wish it would be less boring, but you can't argue with profits. Pfizer, I bet you I'm going to say it's too high for me. Yep. And however, this is one of those situations. You zoom out to a weekly, you say, oh, I see it. You zoom out to a monthly, you say, oh, I see it. You zoom out to a quarterly, not an obvious point of entry. In fact, if you twist my arm, we did snow, Kimberly. If you twist my arm, I would fade it into these quarterly candles. Each one of these is 3 months. We did XBio. We didn't do much with it, so don't expect much from me on it. Apes are holding. I always have to say that they are self-proclaimed apes, because it sounds like I'm insulting them, but I'm not. That's what they call themselves, apes. Funko, sorry about that, Funko. How could you not talk about Funko? Such a fun name. Going into resistance at 20 and 22. 23, arguably. Yep. You bounced well off of 16.8. You better hold it. You lose 16.8, and then you trigger a potential inverse cup and handle. Inverse cup and handle. Itch. That's the case, then it comes down to 14. The target of that itch is 12-ish, but I think 14 is a strong support. There is support at 16, of course. So this would be a good, here, check it out. We'll do this. I didn't say that's where it's going. I'm saying if this. Is that earnings tomorrow? You got to give me the heads up, because everything I said here is moot, because earnings. Flip a coin. Let me see. Yeah, the estimate earning, August 5th. So coming in a couple of days. It's a coin flip on the earnings. Sorry. I don't know semi, so I will have to look at it. Cambio. It's a micro cap. So not much I can say about it because look how it moves. It's a micro cap. Doesn't take much. I can tell you that 4 is horrendous. This zone is a lot of resistance. However, look at what it did. So if I'm long and something does this and I don't book, clearly I'm not in it for profits. I'm in it for hope. So if you get spikes like these, get out. That would be my plan of action. And of course, you have to hold 250. That $2 candle, whoosh, the $2 candle looks like it was a mistake. Look here. Whoosh, and then they came back and they broke through it. So you better not lose it. But first, you better not lose 250 because then you start talking about 2. Okay, I have like 5 more minutes in it here. Sofi, FSR. Okay, so I like Sofi. I don't like FSR. That's the short story. Let's go to Sofi. I like Sofi because it's fintech. I don't care what the experts say. It's in the right business and it's the right arena. If management just keeps the wheels on straight, they can do well. Now, if you lose this support, you risk going down to 11, 12, but I just don't see that happening all by itself. If it goes there, it means that the stock market has corrected clearly. Or they say something terrible in the earnings that changes the game, like something completely blindside, which is highly unlikely. So if I'm long, I'm comfortably long for the long term. I can own shares. I can own. If I wanted to get long, I would take a half position, maybe third of a position, long dated, if not shares, long dated calls, out in time, near current price. Why near current price? Because if I get a spike after the earnings, I would sell calls against it. So covered calls. So you're saying, for some reason, people love to call them the poor man's cover call. It's just a diagonal. It existed forever, but now suddenly it's got a cute name, poor man's covered call. And it's just a diagonal. It's a spread. Instead of being vertical, it's called a diagonal. The other one would be the calendar. They're the same, only different time and space. That's it. All right, so Sofi I like. FSR I don't like for the same reason I don't like Lucid. Square overpaid? Maybe not. Facebook overpaid for Snapchat or Instagram, but look at it now.
Nick, well, it's been great definitely going over this educational session. Just wanted to know if you had any closing remarks on the overall market that your chat members are up to date with.
Okay, I do. And something we don't talk about, protection. Okay, so I've sent out videos to my members. So if you're a member or if you're in the chat room, you've seen my videos. Weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago, I said, let's protect ourselves and buy some VIX calls as cheap. Then within the next few days, the VIX spikes and they yield protection. And if somebody didn't do anything with them, those calls were green today. So in essence, if you bought calls to protect yourself as an insurance policy, you've had coverage for weeks for free. So why not on big VIX dips, buy some protections for balance in your portfolio? I'm not recommending going out and covering the entire portfolio, but it is a good idea. If I have $50,000, $30,000, $100,000, $1 million in the market, why am I so scared about spending a couple of $100 to protect myself from the oh crap moment? Because we don't know when the black swan will hit. And if we know that the VIX has a bottom, then it's almost a no-lose situation. You're saying, well, I lost money on my last protection. Okay, so you lose money on every monthly payment you make to your car insurance, house insurance, health insurance, and you don't cry over not crashing. So it's a necessary evil when markets are at all-time highs and we have tailwinds that are ending. What is that? We know for a fact that the next move of the Fed is bearish. They told us it's a matter of when. August, September, October, November, December, you guess. I don't know. The White House has one more bullet left with the spending bill, and they're struggling with it. And they just launched the last stimulus plan. So VXX is not okay. VXX is an ETN. I'll show you VIX. I'll show you the long-term VIX. Here's the weekly. The VIX is the fear index. Look at it. This is a 5-year look at the VIX. It has a bottom, it has a middle, it has a top, it has a low. Let me switch you over to the VXX. That is not a good asset because this is an ETN. Go do your homework. It's not an ETF. So exchange traded note. So the VIX, the VXX, in fact, went to zero somewhere in 2017, I think. I don't know if you remember. There was a trade that went wrong with the UVIXY, VXXB, blah, 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 blah. And then the VXX went to zero, and they reincarnated it as VXXB, and then renamed that as VXX. So VIX is, you can't buy the VIX directly. You can buy calls in the VIX. They're cheap. Well, $4 per contract at the money. SVIXY, yes. Yes, Joel, thank you. Yep. So the VXX is an ETN on the futures contract of the VIX. Confusing enough? So look, this is a stock I don't want to own, right? So I would not buy calls in the VIX, in the VXX, because it has no bottom. The VIX does. You can see it has a bottom support. Okay. All right, that's it. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for being here. And if you're not in the chat room, I'm going to do my sales pitch. Get in the chat room. It's a lot of fun. We do this all day. Not me sharing my screen, but we can go back and forth with tickers all day. And sometimes we catch good trades, good swings. The other day, the IWM was like a 4-banger. So let's do it. Thanks for the host there, Rodrigo.
Hey, thanks for being here, Nick. You definitely go above and beyond. Just so you guys know, this was not scheduled. Nick definitely, was not aware of this, but he is so keen on helping and educating all of the people here that come for that. So that's why he's here, and we're happy to have Nick all the time. So thanks for joining, Nick. Don't leave. We're going to go over a couple things on Pro. So I'm going to drop the chat here one more time, the link for Nick if you want to join. So, Nick, thanks for being here, man, and we'll talk tomorrow. I'm in the chat, too, all day there, so we'll talk tomorrow, okay?
So if I leave the studio here, it won't, buy Bitcoin. You're welcome, AJ. It won't mess you up, right? Because I'm sharing my screen.
Okay. It's good. No worries.
Later, guys and gals. Thank you.
All right, guys. So, there you have it. Nick Shaheen, the man himself. This guy is just incredible with options, and you just really took a little taste of the technicals and the overall fundamental approach that he's doing. So this is, when you take a trade, you really can't just do one, just technicals. You have to really look at piecing the whole meal together, right? But Nick does a great job with that. In the chat room, I wanted to show you guys pretty much how this all starts, right? Like how Nick is able to start the day, right? So this is the chat room on the left. This is the Inner Circle chat room where Nick is basically all day going over trades, giving feedback of your own trades as well for the members. We do have a special. It's 50% off. So if you do get the yearly, you get a laptop and 50% off. You get Pro with every enhancement. Plus, you get the unusual options activity. As you can see here, I have it filtered in my watch list. And you can also even filter it even further. I just click add a filter. And I'm not sure if you guys can see there, but let me know if you want me to zoom in. But here I can filter by price to earnings ratio, market cap, price, change percentage, average volume in 14 days. This is one of my favorite ones. Volume and options, that's what you need to be looking for. So this is included. If you just get the essential package, you'd have to, add the enhancement. So we're including it for free. And as you can see here, we have the unusual options activity, but Nick will start the day with this chat is getting bigger every day. Nick starts the chat basically with a game plan, right? So he's going to give you a top-down approach. He's finding pockets of strength. And then from there, Nick is able to pretty much narrow it down. And just like you guys give picks here and he gives you a full feedback, he does the same thing in the chat room. But more importantly, guys, if you're new here, I do want you to know I do have a background in trading. And honestly, I started doing a lot of mistakes as a beginner. and you really don't know what you don't know. So like, for example, I started in public chat rooms, and then later I figured out I was just getting trapped in pump and dump chats. I had 30 tabs open. The data was unreliable because it doesn't get updated like every week or every month. So the data is old, and I can't really act on old data. So I didn't have a proven strategy either. I was just trading momentum like a lot of people on Reddit are. So ultimately, I fell into what I call vacuum trading. So it's one of the main reasons why traders will lose money. And that's because you're really trading in a vacuum. You're not getting feedback, let alone from a mentor who's already made those mistakes. And these are the mistakes that are the most expensive, but these are the easiest mistakes to avoid by having a mentor. It's not easy to get a mentor, right? Like ask somebody, be my mentor, but Nick is just so open and willing to provide the education and the feedback on the trade. So instead of being on Reddit chat rooms, guys, with full of fake profiles and bots, you need to start trading with a loyal, verified, helpful community, because it does go a long way. All the members in the chat room are part of the Benzinga community. That way, not only you're learning and you're earning. And there's people that are signing up who don't even trade, who just want the education. So that speaks volumes to me. But guys, it's really not rocket science, right? You need to invest in yourself just like any other educational field. Doctors don't jump into the ER and wing it. Architects don't show up to the job site and wing it. So why are you going to try to wing this when it comes to trading with your own money? I know you see a lot of screenshots on Reddit on like making 10,000% gains and all that stuff. A lot of that is doctored, man. So you need to be consistent, and you need to have proper expectations. Not every trade is going to be a 500% gainer or anything like that. So you really need to set proper expectations, and that is what Nick is about: consistent gains, 90% win rate. Right? We're not just trying to get lottery tickets. We're not focused on lottery tickets. Every now and then you will get them. Right? We're focused on consistent gains. That's what makes a good trader. Right? If you make 1,000% today, you'll lose it tomorrow if you don't know how you even got there. Right? That's what they say. That's what happens. That's what happened to me. I made a lot of money at the beginning, and then suddenly you don't know what you're doing. So these mistakes, you will have to do these mistakes, unfortunately, because if you never did them, you don't know how you made that money. You'll give it back to the market. That's almost a guarantee. But Joel, I'm going to answer your question here really quickly. Considering the price of the subscription, the laptop is included in the price, basically. Yes, that's right, Joel. The yearly subscription is included. It includes the laptop. So you get Benzinga Pro with every upgrade. You get unusual options activity. You also get the inner circle chat room with Nick, and we have chat member sessions only on the weekends. Okay, on the weekends. This is not on YouTube. This is literally Nick doing one-on-ones, open forum style with the chat members, right? So that's also included. And if you do the monthly, it doesn't come included with the laptop, just so you guys know. But just want to finish off here that, honestly, I did wish that I had this when I started, because honestly, it would have saved me a lot of money, right? So with Nick, you're going to get daily picks, advanced trading strategies, educational content, trade setups. There was this like cohort of people that were asking about Chinese stocks, literally Baidu, Didi, Baba, and Nick honestly was like, "You've heard the man talk. I would not recommend this to a friend, but if you twist my arm, this is how I would trade it." So guess what happened? Nick made a 20-minute video explanation about this specific request. Everybody in the chat banked on this trade. We all banked trading the Chinese stocks that honestly I did not even want to touch. And Nick had a certain way of trading them that I honestly was not very familiar. Credit put spreads. I love the fact that I'm hedging my trade. I love the fact that I'm not looking for a 100, 200, 300% gainer, because high risk, high reward. There's a reason why almost 80, 90% of calls do go expire worthless, right? So you want to be on the other side of the trade. You don't want to be buying that, right? A lot of times you'll notice that a lot of people just buy calls and puts. This is really where you lose or make the majority of the money, right? So you can do you do a big win on a call, and then the next day you buy a call and stock goes down 15%, you're done, right? So trading with Nick has really opened my eyes to the different financial tools that we have available as option traders. If you are just doing calls and puts, You really need to step up your game. You need to trade with Nick. Honestly, it's really the only thing that I feel changed the way that I trade, because I'm not so worried, right? I'm not so worried about my call dropping 50% in 10 minutes. So if you do think about it, right, the daily game plan does keep you focused on what matters, right? But also, I get calls from people all the time. I talk with you guys behind the scenes. I work during the day and I do this stuff at night so that we can, touch base and get trades and scheme for the next day. So um, I get calls from people, and they do open up, and I appreciate it, right? They talk about, like, I lost 100K and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or I'm down 70K. And honestly, man, like, at that point, I really wish that you would have just gotten the education before. And that's kind of like my point with all this. Get the education before you're down 50K, before you're down 80K. You know why you're down 80K? Because you try to wing it. Okay. Doctors don't try to wing it, right? So don't try to wing it. Very simple. I know it's tempting. Like I said, all these screenshots on Reddit boards showing 1,000,000% gains. A lot of those are doctored. So let's have realistic expectations, because we're not looking for lottery tickets, right? If you're not looking for lottery tickets, you're not going to be so disappointed, because how many people win the lottery? Probably more people than the ones that buy calls and puts, right? Because 85, 90% expiration of worthless calls. And then you have the lottery. It's almost like an even game if you think about it. But we are also including the laptop guys. So just keep that in mind. But now that we are, done with this part, do you guys have any tickers or any research that you want me to show on Pro? Because I do have some tickers that I did want to go by with here, especially SLGG. I wanted to show you the advanced newsfeed that we have. So basically, we have an advanced newsfeed here, and you're able to filter it by specific keywords, right? So I'm filtering mine for this one with COVID and Delta, right? I know Delta is the talk of the street. I know COVID is coming back up. Numbers are rising. It's time to get in the game. It's time to scheme on how we're going to profit from this time, guys, all right? It's not a surprise anymore. So look at this. Today at 7 in the morning, I was alerted. ARCT announced approval of Singapore clinical trial advanced RCT, next generation vaccines targeting SARS-CoV-2 variants of concern. You also have here, right? So you get the alert at 7 in the morning. Go to we're literally at the chart here at 7 in the morning, okay? $37, guys. You get the alert in the advanced. This is included in the link I put above, by the way. So I did a little bit of marketing before, and I can tell you, if you're able to filter the news by certain keywords, and on top of that, get alerted every time it comes out. I was already up at 7 in the morning. Okay. I see that. I start moving because I know Delta in the mix is a pop, right? So, I mean, this is the kind of power that you have in Benzinga Pro. But on top of that, you have amazing people on the back that, like, for example, this, why is it moving? We have a filter, that on the news feed, right? This is just a power tool, the news feed. You can filter this news feed by just these. Why is it moving? So this is an actual person behind the scenes that is manually checking the stock and verifying that the news is attributable to the move, right? So if a stock is moving up or down, our analyst will be able to spot that, manually put it in there, right? So you'll get the news and you'll get the reason why it's moving if you don't have the news, if you just stumble on it. And on top of that, you have Q2 earnings confirmed in 6 days. So do you think they're going to talk about this in their Q2 earnings conference call? Do you think that's going to bump up the stock? I mean, who knows? Probably. You've seen Moderna, how it went all the way up there. Novavax, like, the moves related to COVID are insane. And that's kind of what I wanted to show you here with the advanced news feed. If you have any specific thing that you're looking for, like, you can also do this. And I'm just going to do it here literally with you guys. This is COVID Delta. This is one trade from today, right? But you can always, and this is updating live as we are doing this. But I wanted to show you another thing that I like to do. I like to have my scanner set up, and I do FDA right? We can do FDA approval, right? Who does not like FDA approvals? Who hasn't made money on FDA approvals? These are the stocks that go bonkers, basically, for a quick trade. If you want to find stocks that have a real reason why they're moving, and when you're talking about the reason of that being an FDA approval, we know what that happens, right? So you have alerts here all the way from 6 in the morning, okay? This is Benzinga Pro. This is the options mentorship. And you see the chat room, right? So this is my setup, right? I have Nick always on speed dial, all right? You always need to have this man on speed dial. As you can see, he's always going in here, talking to members. Nick right now going over with a member. AJ was here earlier, but yeah, so this is the advanced news feed, and you can filter this by so many things. I want to show you this this beautiful tool here with the advanced news feed as well. I'm filtering my watch list, and I'm literally only seeing analyst ratings. So analyst ratings move stocks, like it or not. Okay, like it or not, they move stocks, and I trade those a lot. I trade analyst earnings a lot, especially if a firm is initiating coverage, and if that price target is maybe at a 50 or 150% discrepancy from the current price of the underlying, then GSAT had a move like that. Zoom had a move like that. So these analysts, their words have weight in the stock market, and some of them are well known. You'll hear their names on CNBC and Bloomberg and other places. And I want to give you guys a hot tip here. We are actually working on an analyst rankings, meaning we're going to be able to show you the top analysts in their field. So if this analyst has had the big majority of their predictions correct, we have a way of ranking it, but we're going to give you pretty much a ranking of all the analysts, and obviously the one at the top is going to be the one that's right most often. But this is basically me getting alerts in my newsfeed for any sort of analyst upgrade, downgrade, and I need to know that. You know how many stocks get dumped on one analyst downgrade from JP Morgan or Wells Fargo or Bank of America? A lot. It happens every day. But you know what also happens? A lot of stocks go up because of an analyst upgrade, right? Or an initiation of, the actual stock. So this is an amazing tool, guys. I trade analyst earnings all day. And literally, I mean, look, we just click on the ticker and you'll see what pops up there. So this is for solar. Guggenheim analyst Joseph Osha initiated coverage, right? So we have a name too, right? So there are some analysts that I do follow as well. But guys, I do want to let you know, this is a monster of a machine. We have a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if any of you guys want to use it, try it out for 14 days. Feel free. I'm going to drop the link in there one more time before I head out. If you guys have any questions on the subscriptions, I'm going to be here for about a couple more minutes. And I'll drop my contact as well if you guys need to contact me. All right, guys. So if anybody needs some help with the subscription or has any questions, let me know. Nick is in the chat room right now. I'm going to join him there. We're talking about trades. We're talking about stocks there. So I'm going to head back into the options chat room, guys. And feel free to email me or call me if you have any questions on the subscription. If you want to trade with Nick, all subscriptions come with a 14-day money-back guarantee, and that includes this special 50% off is Pro with the unusual options activity. You get the inner circle chat room, you get the laptop, and you get Nick Shaheen, which is top of the line. So thank you guys for being here with us. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys wanting to get the education. That's what we're doing this for. So thank you for joining, guys. And I'm going to sign out. So thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. Peace.